Welcome everybody to Help Desk Live, episode 18. I'm one of your hosts, TJ Horgan. I'm a senior, and this is my first year in Help Desk.
I'm Michael Solomon. I'm also a senior, and this is also my first year in Help Desk.
And today we are lucky enough to be on a hangout with Ms. Susan Bearden. Susan Bearden is very prominent in the world of educational technology now. And Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about why we're talking with Susan today?
So Susan is the Director of Informational Technology at Holy Trinity Episcopal Academy. She's a social media enthusiast who is fascinated by leadership, technology, education, and business. Susan's EdTech focuses on social media, iPads, Web 2.0 technologies, and Susan is an app developer of Tweechme, which is an app that demystifies Twitter for educators and connects teachers with resources on the social media platform.
All right, Mike is known as the walking LinkedIn around here. So, Susan, I'll start off, and for Help Desk, we are doing a technology Shark Tank almost. And so I'm going to start off asking you about your app, Tweechme, that you created. So Tweechme obviously helps and facilitates teacher use of Twitter, which has certainly been underused, and you certainly helped that usage. When you had the idea, was your idea to create an app and you found this facet, or did you see a need for this app and you created it?
Actually, Tweechme started as an outgrowth of a pilot program that my school participated in with a company called Tweechme. They are an app development company, and I had met them at a conference, and at that time their core business was school and conference apps. And they were interested in using their web-based content management system, app development platform, and they wanted to modify it to enable to allow students to create apps even if they don't yet know how to code. And so they asked if my school would be interested in being part of a pilot program. So we said yes. So the first phase of our pilot program, we had 3 fifth grade students who participated, and we got on a Skype call with the company CEO, and we started brainstorming. The girls started brainstorming ideas for their apps. So one girl, for instance, ended up creating an app about Rainbow Loom, the bracelets that are very popular, and another girl created an app about golden doodles, her favorite breed of dog, and another girl created an app about fashion and design. And so while they were brainstorming kind of the ideas of what they would want the app to be about, what kind of screens they would want to have, what kind of content they would want to include, and we had told them to pick a topic that they were passionate about, so I sat down with the girls and I started brainstorming along with them. And so when I thought to myself, well, what's a topic that I'm passionate about? Well, Twitter 101 was the first thing that jumped into my head because I'm passionate about helping educators get on Twitter and build personal learning networks. So, initially I was just, doing some brainstorming just to participate along with the students. And then later I was talking with Namit Bhatia, the company president, and he said, you really ought to consider making that app because they were interested also in exploring how their platform might be used by teachers in order to create apps. So that was the genesis of Tweechme.
All right, that's pretty helpful. I mean, it sounds really interesting that it started with students, and that your whole the motivation for the app started with a few 5th grade students.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm going to do a shout out for these 3 fifth graders who did an awesome job with their apps as part of the pilot program. They're available in the Android and iOS stores.
Wow.
And actually, one app that's about Rainbow Loom, if you do a search for Chrysaris Rainbow Loom, that app has really kind of ridden the wave of Rainbow Loom popularity and has had over 80,000 downloads.
Wow. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm. Just to backtrack a little bit, the reason we're talking to you is because here at BHS, we're having our own little thing with student app development. Ms. Sheff, our instructor, has asked that students pitch a prototype to venture capitalists about some kind of educational technology product that we feel the educational environment needs. And some of us, myself included, have chosen to go into app development. So it's kind of pretty cool how it starts with students here too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. So next question. What was your vision for the app, and how has it changed since you first launched it?
Well, initially when I first started brainstorming, I wanted to create just like a basic Twitter 101 app. And as I began developing content, I also included content for like Twitter 201 and Twitter 301 sections. So the app is not just for beginners. There are videos and screencasts that are applicable to more advanced users as well, on topics such as lists and advanced search. But at the same time, if you're a beginner, there's videos and screencasts on how to set up your profile, you know, tips on terminology. So it started out as just something being kind of more basic, intro to Twitter, and then it kind of expanded as I started working into something a lot bigger. And I also ended up including a calendar to the official, a link to the official education Twitter chat calendar. So educators can research hashtags and they can see if there's a live chat associated with it and what the date is, and then they can actually add it to their native device calendar. And that was a feature that came along long after the original idea for Tweechme.
Great. Now, I know a while ago, a few minutes ago, you mentioned PLNs, personal learning networks. Mm-hmm. Mrs. Sheffer has definitely stressed that and how far that will get you in terms of opportunities. So obviously you have a large PLN. How did you build that? And when you were building that, how did you decide which areas to expand upon, I guess, more than others?
Well, you know, it was interesting. I started on Twitter, and I always give a shout out to Sylvia Tolosano, who's also at Languages, who was the person who gave me the push to get on Twitter. And I didn't have anyone specific to guide me, so I kind of made things up as I went along. So, and that was actually one of the reasons why I wanted to create Tweechme, was because when I first started, I kind of had to learn everything the hard way, as opposed to having someone there to help guide me. And I'm interested in education technology, so that has been my focus. I would be searching for hashtags based on education technology, whether that was ed tech or mobile learning or iPads in education. And so I would follow people associated with that hashtag. And then later, I became more involved. I began moderating 2 Twitter chats, EdTech Chat, which is a popular education technology chat on Monday nights, and of course, Did Shit, which I co-moderate with Sheffer. And so then I also kind of expanded the different people I follow. But I like to follow lots of different educators because I find that I can learn something from everyone.
Would you say that your app helps others develop a PLN?
Oh, absolutely. Because a lot of times people, they set up their Twitter account, and this is very common. People will set up a Twitter account at a conference, and then they have absolutely no idea how to do with it. They don't know how to, who to connect with. They don't know how to connect with people. They don't know how to find people who share their interests. And they'll send out a tweet, and it's kind of like, well, if a tree fell in a forest and no one was there to hear it, did it make a sound? Well, if I sent out a tweet and no one was there to see it, did it make a difference? And so for instance, by introducing people to the concept of hashtags and showing them how they can search hashtags in order to find people who share their interests, and how even if they don't have many followers, you can add hashtags to your tweets to help expand your audience. And then people will start to follow you if you're tweeting content that they're interested in. So there's a lot of information in Tweechme about how you can use lists in order to, like if other people have curated Twitter lists of users based on a particular topic, you can check out the people who are on their list. And so there's lots of different ways that you can find compatible people to follow to build your PLN.
Switching gears a little bit, as we're doing with the Help Desk Shark Tank edition, we have to pitch to investors, and obviously that's going to entail knowledge of different pricing and different financial needs. Mm-hmm. So, Susan, what were the costs associated with your app, and ultimately how did you arrive at the price of 99 cents for Tweechme?
That's a good question, because this was not a situation where I required venture capital. This was something I paid for out of my own pocket. Right. And it was interesting trying to determine the pricing, because I knew I had to charge something for it because I had to recoup my development costs. Right. And so it's priced at 99 cents. And we had a lot of debate whether we should charge 99 cents or $1.99, but I finally decided to make it 99 cents because I wanted, one, for as many people to have access to the content as possible. But also, I think a lot of people are more likely to download an app if it's 99 cents versus $1.99. There's something about that less than a buck thing that I think makes people more inclined to buy apps. I know I can't count how many games I have purchased for 99 cents just because they were only 99 cents. So that was how we arrived at the pricing. And my husband and I had a lot of going back and forth and discussion about it, but I'm glad that I decided on the price model that I did.
And so, I'm sorry, just to clarify, what were some of the major costs associated with creating the app?
Well, it was mainly paying an annual fee to Coursera's. What they do is I have access to their platform. They helped me with the branding, so to speak. They actually helped upload a lot of the content that I created or uploaded into the app or do all the linking. I have the ability to change content whenever I want, so it's not like I developed an app and that's it. One of the things about the Coursera's platform is it allows you to modify and update the app at any time. So I can add content whenever I want, and I have done that. In fact, when I was driving up to the ISTE conference right before Tweechme was launched, I had sent out some tweets about it, and someone said, hey, I've got a Twitter mentoring program. My friend Kyle Calderwood, who's K Calder W, and he said, could you include a link to it in the app? I said, absolutely. So I made a phone call to Coursera's, and by the time I had arrived up in Atlanta, they had added a link to the app for me. So they did a lot of that work. They did a lot of the design work and the branding, and we've also been talking about over the holiday break doing some additional updates to the app and making use of their new channel features. So I'm actually looking forward to over the holidays when I have a little more time to, now that school is going to be out of session, I'm going to have time to focus on how I can leverage some of these new features that are available on the Coursera's platform since Tweechme was originally released.
Great.
So was the app development process coding free on your end?
For the most part. The MadLearn platform that this is used from is basically, it's almost kind of a WYSIWYG. It's what you see is what you get kind of thing, where you can drag and drop. You still have to do, but you still have to do all of the same design process that you would if you were creating an app. And it's actually, the emphasis more is on the design-based thinking as opposed to actually starting with the coding. Because the whole design process, what's the app going to be used for? What kind of content? In what order do you want the content to displayed? These are all really important questions when it comes to developing an app that have absolutely nothing to do with coding. A lot of times people think apps and they just think about the coding part, but it's really the user interface, the look and feel, all of these very, very important features. And that's one nice thing about the MadLearn platform is that it allows you to focus more on those aspects as opposed to getting down under the hood, so to speak. Since I developed Tweechme, they have added some features to the platform that allow users to tinker with the HTML, for instance, so that you can do more of the coding that actually is, as opposed to just doing drag and drop, so you can do more features with it. I haven't had a chance to explore those yet, but that's something, again, looking forward to having some time over the holiday break to do some playing online.
Right. So when we're creating our own technology product, I guess there are a few different mindsets. Mine would be, since I don't have much experience coding and I'm not super technologically inclined in terms of the coding area. I have more abstract ideas. And Mike, on the other hand, I know you are heavy into coding, and maybe the things like interface and stuff. Maybe that could use like refinement on the other end. So what advice would you give to the two different types of people when it comes to educational technology products?
Well, I think both are important in terms of the app that your guys are looking to design.
Right.
I don't think it's a case that one aspect is more important than the other, because you can have brilliantly designed code and a lousy user interface that no one wants to use, or you can have a great user interface that has terrible code behind it and crashes all the time and is really frustrating for users. So I think my emphasis would be to make sure that you understand that both sides are really important. I think a lot of people think of app development strictly in terms of the coding side, but the user experience and the fact that apps are supposed to be solving a problem. I mean, they don't exist in a vacuum. Even an app that's a game is there to provide entertainment. Those just kind of go to show that those are all important considerations that you need to think about.
So, say we were to partner up with a company or provider such as Crescents, are there any restrictions that they've placed on the app as far as like how you can use it or sell it in any way?
Well, because I paid them for the app developments, no. If I had, for instance, for our students who create an app using the Mad Learn program, that's a little different scenario because those students aren't allowed to actually charge for the apps, but because it's a different licensing contract. But the contract that I had with Crescents was specifically so that I would be able to charge for the app. And even that was just an interesting experience because this was the first time, as I said, Crescents, their core business has always been conference apps and school apps, which are free for people to download. So we had to learn some things about going through the app approval process for a paid app. And it was an interesting experience, not just for me, but also for them, because it was even though they had submitted dozens of apps to the App Store, it was the first time they had actually submitted a paid app.
Susan, thank you very much for coming on. We really appreciate your time. I know I'm going to relay a big thank you from Mrs. Sheffer. Any other advice you'd like to impart on us in our world of educational technology?
Well, you know, if you're going to be working on a project, the most important thing is to really think about the purpose of what your project is. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to get across? What problem are you trying to solve? And that should be the focus, not on any bells and whistles or whiz bang or woohoo, look what I can do with this technology kind of thing. You want to develop a product that can actually solve a problem. And once you've figured that out, then go from there and work kind of backwards in terms of developing your product from that with that goal in mind.
Looks like we're having a little connect.
Uh-oh.